Sensitivity is intelligence. With grace and skill, you have abundance. Welcome to the Psychic Hour. Host Kelly Brickle is a psychic medium, numerologist, healer, and teacher. Her passions are learning about the soul and energy. Whether through spirit, emotion, or vibrational numbers, there is always a pathway of information waiting to help. Now, here is your host of the Psychic Hour, Kelly Brickle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Psychic Hour. I'm Kelly Brickle, and we are doing the Psychic Hour interview show today, where it's all things conversation about energy, intuition, psychic mediumship. We like to focus on from time to time, absolutely, but really the journey. So today we have the wonderful Shannon Ratay on, and I will be bringing her in just a moment. I'm excited to talk to her because she's like a friend as well as a multidimensional intuitive. So she has a lot of skills she brings to the table. So I want to turn to the comments and give a warm welcome to everybody coming on into as well. Hello, everybody. Thank you for saying hi. Hello. I want to say hello to Tammy Joe. Hello. Hello, Jeffrey. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Hello, June. Hello, Jennifer McCormick. Carol Johnson. Julio. That is a fun name, Julio Houlihan. I love it. Hello, thank you for the love. And continue if you want to say where you're from. We have people here from around the world. Or please comment any thoughts that you have along the way. This is definitely a discussion type of forum where as we talk, we would love to hear your thoughts or love to hear things similar that you've been through or epiphanies. We always start with the topic of the day. Hello, as everybody is coming on in. Hello, Vintage. Hello. From Canada and from Castleford. Is that in England, Castleford? I'm in sunny California, so I don't know all the cities around the world, but it sounds like it's from Florida. Okay, I don't know I actually know Florida somewhat decently, and I do not know Castleford. I don't think I've ever heard of it. Okay, welcome. Oh no, I mixed up the two names. So you're not from Castleford. Thank God. Your icons look similar. So I don't know still where you're from. We got to have humor here. That's right, England. Okay. All right. That makes sense. Okay. Up north. Welcome, Vintage. And then Tammy Joe is from Florida. Here to learn. Excellent. There's always wonderful discussion. Hello, Shadow. And then hello. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, June. All right. So the topic of the day, we open up the energy before we bring our guests on. This one is going to be about, it's going to sound a little heavy, but pain being the route to healing. Now, I say this, and please, we give reverence to the things that we go through. We have compassion for the things that we go to. But it's important to know that life has a lot of the things around us waiting for us to notice, and our pain is included, whether it's a backache or a foot pain. It could be a heartache, emotional or actual within the body. They're pings, they're messages for you to know something about yourself. And usually the question is the route to the answer. Like, why am I feeling this way? Why does this hurt so bad? Why is this so difficult? Well, as soon as we put our attention on that, it's interesting what else can spark up. Now, most times when it sparks up, we don't like it because we might get more pain. We might get more of, well, I don't want, more of this. So why would I put attention here? Why on earth? This is the last thing I want. But hello, Jennifer Lee. Welcome. It really is, the highway for us taking liftoff with understanding what's going on. And when we're understanding and putting attention on the things that either we feel are helpful or are intimate in the nature of the disruption, we will get information and we will get healing and insight. If it's someone else's pain, not so much. If it's ours, there's something to be learned. There's something to be understood. There's something to understand about the connection of the matter of things. When it comes to us, like we're put on earth when we wake up, where our goals are. Sometimes when we're even saying to ourselves, I don't know where I am, I don't know how I got there, everything is kind of connected of why one moment led to the next. And the same with how we're configured with the surprises that shoot up within our body or our emotional or spiritual struggles. So I've heard multiple people talk about this angle that I'm going to mention too. I've heard boxers talk about it, MMA fighters, and they work with physical stuff. I've heard spiritual people talk about this concept that I've mentioned. I've even played around with it. But when something hurts, it could be you had the flu even, and you just have to ride that out. It's the flu. You have a cold. You picked up something from your child, right? Just whatever you picked up metaphorically, you kind of have to see it through. And it can be with pain too. You go, okay, well, if I just feel it, if I just allow myself to sit with it, there's a threshold where beyond that threshold, it's kind of just going to be like, okay, well, I know that this is unpleasant. I know that this hurts, but now I'm aware of it. Okay. And it's almost like once we're aware with it, or we put that attention on it, the pain dissipates or the energy changes. And that's what frequently happens in readings too, or in healings. As soon as it's acknowledged, it goes, hey, me. The issue arising, it goes, okay, good, we were seen. And the energy dissipates because it needed the acknowledgement so it could be done. So a lot of times pain is the root from which the healing sprouts. Okay. So I encourage you with whatever you're going through within your life. And the last thing I'm going to say, because this is like a whole class really, but it's important to sit with the things that bother us. It's important to sit with the things that trouble us. It's important to give it time because there's a lot of wisdom and grace that can come from that. I'll kind of finish on this note. So there's a meditation where I sit people down. I haven't done this in a while, but everyone wants to work on something. Everyone wants more money. Everyone wants like maybe abundance in the relationship, family, career. You think of it. And we all have obstacles of why we can't have maybe what we're seeking to have. That's pain. That's a pain point. That's I really wish I could have, but I don't, right? And there's a story. There's lots of stories in there of why not. And so we sit in the energy of, hey, just what do you want to focus on? What do you want to focus on? And so we look at the positive of the dream, right? And then the next thing is like, what do we have to sit with about the energy that is coming up regarding? And so you'll sit with things that are uncomfortable, or you'll sit with things where you're like, I didn't see that before. But you have to sit with it, whether, things are going really well or not. And usually the things that we're not exactly grasping, you're going to have more of, I'm not sure, that this is the easiest energy to sit through, sift through, or understand. As soon as you give yourself a moment and the attention, again, things sprout through. And that's the topic of the day. Pain is the route to healing, as well as, the route to the question that you'll wonder, why is this, to get you to the answer forward. It might be small answers, but it's something. It might be big answers and amazing. But that is something I'd like to leave you with before we begin. I want to say hello as well to Brian. Happy Friday, Brian. I appreciate that. Hello, Jennifer Rose. Hello, Just Jody. Thank you. I love people saying hi from the UK and all over. We got Florida, UK, England. Hello, Presh. We have a lot of people. Well, not a lot of people, but we have a little hub from Florida, I'm finding. Hello, Jennifer McCormick and Erica Burt. Thank you, everybody. So without further ado, let's bring in Shannon.
Hello. Hi, Kelly.
Hello.
Thank you so much for having me here today. Thank you. It's always a treat to get to sit and talk to you.
Yes, it's always good stuff that comes up.
True. Hello, everyone. And I fully admit I can't, I can't help but be appreciative of your willingness to bring up the topic of pain. It's such an important topic. And I have so much compassion for people, whether they're feeling emotional pain, whether they're feeling physical pain. It's just such a hard topic to be with. And there can be a lot of avoidance of that topic. And so I admit I'm curious if there's anything in particular that inspired you to bring it up, because it does. It takes a lot of courage to talk about pain.
Sure. First, I want to give you a warm introduction and welcome. So thank you for coming on. But I love it. I love how you're ready to go in, and I would love to talk about it. Actually, not everybody, I don't think is excited to talk about it, or maybe they go into, let's say, a specific time. So like the topic of why pain exists isn't always tackled. And I would love to, return to that when we open the conversation. So first of all, welcome, Shannon. For everybody who's first learning about Shannon or who knows her, and you're getting a lot of hellos from multiple Jennifers, June, Presh. You're getting highs from everybody. Shannon Ratay is a leadership and career coach, facilitator, and workshop leader by day. By night and weekend, she is a medium and angel communicator whose gifts include communicating the messages of our spiritual team of helpers. Whether Shannon is helping clients advance their careers and get their dream jobs, or connecting people to the spiritual realm, she is using her unique connection to spirit to assist others in tapping into their own intuition, inner knowing, and universal knowledge. Her calling is to empower others. Shannon lives in Oakland and spends her spare time studying all things energy and adventuring around the Bay Area. She is also the host of Guided Life on yours truly, both of ours, Sacred Spiral Network. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Kelly. Hello, everyone. Hello to everyone in the comments. I'm really delighted to see all the warm welcome coming through from everyone. The Jennifers, KBZ, Tammy, Bernadette, June, Presh, thanks so much for being here. Hey, Jennifer.
Thank you, everyone. Hello. So yes, starting off from the top and continue to say hi, everybody. You asked kind of what brought up the topic of pain. Yesterday, to help inspire it, and today, I have a lot of back pain. So I've been hobbling around the house, but also too, growing up, and to lead it back to kind of the topic, I had like a really difficult time with some health issues with like sleeping. So my body would like hurt a lot because it wasn't in full repair mode. So I had to come up with really clever ways to work with energy and work with my body to kind of just function at times. So I got into meditation mostly for pain relief. Even though it was deeper than that at the same time, but I was like, okay, I'm excited because I can actually do things rather than go away. Let me try to do things while I'm here. So that was the bulk of kind of how I did play around with meditation.
That makes sense. And same thing, right? Like that gratitude and appreciation, that the thing that you've been experiencing, right? The thing that you've been contemplating, what you've been sitting with recently and throughout your life is what I'm hearing, to then be able to bring that wisdom to everyone here, and to share your wisdom with everyone. That's really awesome, Kelly.
Thank you. I haven't utilized it in a little bit, but it is very helpful. I do think there's different qualities of energy, like some energy is more physical, emotional, spiritual, of course, mental. But if you're really, I guess, understanding of certain types of energy, you can erase pain in those facets. It's quite incredible.
Yes. I don't know how to do it, but yes, that's exactly right.
Depends on what's going on and how the person associates with that. Because it's theirs, right? It's theirs.
Absolutely.
They might covet it in some way. They might tie their feelings or pain to their identity.
Oh, 100%. That's accurate. It can very much become a piece of identity. That's right.
Yeah, so it's not I guess I want to hear your viewpoints on it, because you have me going away with what I think, but it's different for everybody of why it's there and how long it needs to stay.
Yes, right. Like you're absolutely right. And hi, Carol. You're exactly right. Right. When I think of emotional pain, I think of, as a coach who's sat with a lot of people in pain, I fully admit from the emotional standpoint, what's fascinating is to notice how much we will resist we as humans will resist being with our pain, right? We try and avoid the emotions. We try and avoid the sensations that, that are just uncomfortable. And so we can spend a lot of time resisting emotional pain. And so often it's just the invitation to say, let's sit with it. Let's sit with it. I will sit there with you. And the way that it can pass through, maybe not forever, it might be for a period of time, but how much energy it can take to resist feeling that emotional pain. And then when we actually just sort of sit with it and be with it and allow it to flow through our systems, that we can have this different kind of relationship. I've noticed a different kind of relationship to it. I personally have noticed also when people cut off feeling one kind of emotion, like they cut off trying to feel the things they don't want to feel, whether it's pain or betrayal or devastation or any of those really uncomfortable emotions, that they end up, and I've done this myself, but we end up losing access to more than just those emotions we don't want to feel. We end up losing access to the full range. We might lose the low end and the negative emotions, but we also lose the high end and the positive emotions and end up traveling right down the middle. And so I think one of the things that I've learned is just the importance of being with them. It's one of the unfortunate, beauties of being human, of being able to experience that full range on both the low end and the high end. So yeah, I like to liken it to that gorgeousness of being alive and fully human, even if it's uncomfortable. The physical pain, I'm not so sure why, what that's about in terms of, the experience people have signed up for to experience and learn about. I'm curious if you have any theories about that one, because I have less experience with the physical pain, either on my own side or sitting with my clients on the physical side of things.
Sure. I mean, I think there's multiple reasons, potentially, but one, I think that, again, I don't proclaim it like it is the way it is, but I do think we've signed up to learn certain pockets of energy and experience certain things. So we go, my soul is interested in helping me understand this or live this out. So there is, I think, a theme spiritually within that's like overreaching for even physical things. physically, you could look at the body and just be like, what does, energy mean if you store energy in your throat or your chest or your back or your lungs, right? And is it the top of your back or is it the lower part of your back? You could like really get into what that means with the energy centers. So I'm trying to kind of like invite people to think like that too, because it's not just like, ouch. I do think, so I sometimes like spend a lot of time like in my mind, or I can get a lot done without moving. And I do like to move too, don't get me wrong, but I'm usually so busy that I'm sometimes not doing physical things as much as maybe I know I have to go to the store or do chores, like the practical things kind of keep me going. And I go, oh, I should really like stretch, hit the gym. That's not the entire tale of things, but I do think that I don't have like, I'm not fluid with making sure my body is grounded and in a state where it can be flexible. And it's like same with them. Are people doing that for their emotions? Can they be grounded and flexible with their emotions? Grounded and flexible with their perspectives? Are they going to get into a mental debate or a spiritual, I want to say spiritual madness from, the sheer state of things? It goes back to all that. So my body is not as flexible as I'd like it to be. So this is part of why this is happening. And it's an area I have to strengthen, definitely.
Well, can I ask you a question about this? I'm realizing one of the theories I've often seen that people who experience either chronic physical pain or a lot of physical pain, part of their soul path is one of being a healer, right? And so, and so it's almost like in this lifetime, they might be more of the patient, and in the next lifetime, they might take on more of the role of the healer. But that understanding of, being not 100% well becomes deepened in terms of their overall role as that healer. And I'm curious with you if you identify at all with the role of the healer as part of like a soul type and a soul path.
Absolutely. The role of the healer is one I identify as with. Healing is very important to me. I feel like embedded within the meaning of being like a psychic medium, or like, of course, just an energy healer if you're doing Reiki. And yeah, like from a young age, since I was in pain, I like learned all about food and supplements. And if someone's going through something, like I have a bunch of things that I go, hey, if you want an alternative, or if you're curious, try this, try that. Like I have 50 different things I can be like, try this, try that, yeah. So if someone comes to my house, like a family member, and they're not feeling good, I could probably get them like, back on their feet or feeling much better. Yes, I'm very good at that. Yes.
Yeah, you just lit up. You definitely are, because you just lit up at the idea of helping other people feel better.
Yeah, like I know a lot of like, it's funny because, right, it's like this is sensitive and it gets like battered around a bit, but I actually like have a lot of knowledge to how to keep it centered. So like I'm familiar with like Chiron, the asteroid Chiron.
Yes and no. Like I'm loosely familiar that Chiron exists in a little bit, but yeah, tell me more.
So like I'm Chiron in the first house, so it's like part of my initiation to like come into, the healing through having like pain actually. So like, yeah, it's the Chiron's the wounded healer. Yeah. So, but there's multiple themes of how that is. So absolutely. And I'm a life path 2 numerology. So I have to learn how to find my balance, and all that work I give back to others. So you're exactly right. It really does play out in my life. 100%.
Aha.
So
yeah.
Shannon, I need to know how it plays out in your life.
Well, clearly I need to go look and find out where Chiron is in my house, right? Like which house of Chiron is. But
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I think it's, similar but different. I think in that in my role as a career coach and I primarily focus on working with creatives, but I did in terms of I used to collect jobs before I became a career coach. I'd go from job to job, and sometimes I was getting laid off, sometimes I was laying myself off, but there was a lot of failure that I experienced en route to becoming a career coach. I just sort of discovered I like finding jobs more than I like keeping them. And so, it was emotional pain, but there was a lot of emotional pain that came from my failures. And so a lot of what I do is dealing with that kind of pain and disappointment and relationship to failure. So I, have a lot of tools and a lot of experience dealing in that kind of pain. And then I think, I think I'll just leave it for there right now. That's the one that really comes to mind.
So everybody, I'm reading your comments and I'm going to go back to them in a little bit. So thank you. Kim and Lynn. Hello, Kim. Hello, everyone coming on in. Thank you. So if I may ask, so you had like a conundrum with not exactly having stability with a job. And so you said that created emotional pain. So when you sat with yourself, did you start to go, I want to fix this, or I'm curious about this? Like what came up before, like all this good stuff? Because like later on, like this is what you do for a living. Like you help people find jobs, like you're a career coach. That's one of your big things that you do.
Oh, yes. I definitely started off on this quest trying to talk to as many people as possible, trying to understand, how people found work they loved, what they understood about work, how they knew that they loved their jobs. And it was really fascinating to me because in between my jobs, I would also have this experience of it being this long, arduous, drawn out process to find my next job, right? Like I had to really be with each step in between. And then I talk to people and I would be like, oh, well, how did you get this job? And they'd be like, oh yeah, well, someone called me up and said, hey, I have a job for you. And then I got a job, right? Like my experience was so different than most people. And yeah, exactly. And in hindsight, now I know why, right? Like the pain of this, grueling process of finding a job, I really had to be with each step. But the thing that was fascinating is that over time, what began happening is that when friends were losing jobs and needed help, or they would have, significant others that had lost jobs and needed help, I started becoming the go-to person. So, but even with all of that happening in my social circles and helping people around me, I still didn't realize I had developed an expertise in that. Like it took a while for me to even connect the dots that it's something that I had with all the jobs that I had found, that it was an expertise that I had developed. I separately went to some coaching classes, and then my first clients that started showing up were creatives that needed help with jobs, and I was like, oh yeah, I know how to do that. So it was a very roundabout process to get there.
So like with the roundabout process, were you resistant, or were you like, might as well, like, and you're like, it's about to get like just freaky, I don't know what's going on, but my life is going in this direction? Like, how did you work with the obstacle?
Oh, it was all of the above, right? My last corporate job was for Levi's, and I was doing fabric development and clothing production. And I had that moment where, on one hand, my lunches were booked out for weeks. People kept wanting to have lunch with me, and I'd sit there and they'd ask me questions. They'd be like, oh, Shannon, I want to do this thing, but oh my gosh, my boss said no, so I don't know what to do. And I wouldn't think a whole lot about it. I'd just be like, oh, well, are you going to take no for an answer? And they'd be like, oh, I never thought about it like that. And I would say, well, what's in it for your boss to say yes to you? And they'd be like, oh, I don't know. And so I would tell them, well, why don't you figure out the answer to that question and go back to your boss and try again? And so my lunches were booked out with these kinds of conversations. And the people I was having these kinds of conversations with, their careers kept advancing. And then on the flip side, I was stuck and my career was not moving. And I was noticing that the people who were doing well around me had a different personality type than I did. And so one day I called up a friend and I was telling her, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to be less emotional. I need to be less emotional and less sensitive because I'm never going to succeed if I'm so emotional and sensitive. And she said to me, she was like, Shannon, I never want to hear you say that again. If you have to stop being emotional and sensitive, you need to quit and find another job because this just isn't a match for you. There's this thing called coaching, and I think you need to check it out. And so I did. I started doing some informational interviews, but I was in the process of failing at yet another job. I was doing fine, but I just wasn't progressing. And so I will say, once I showed up at coaching, I knew I could do it, but I didn't know if I had anything unique to offer, right? So I was doing it and taking the steps and still resistant. So there were a lot of little signs along the way, and I was really lucky. One of those signs being out of nowhere, my whole program got paid for by a special program that got enacted. So, that next step kept being put in front of me. So I will not say that it was easier. There wasn't resistance, but the next step kept unfolding in front of me, and I kept going.
So you were brave enough to identify that there was a perceived problem, and you're like, I'm really aware that I'm hitting this wall. And as soon as you're like, I want to do something about it, it was like a way appeared because you weren't like, whatever, life is difficult and I'm pissed off about it. You're like, no, I see this pattern. And what the heck is this?
And I will say it was even a little bit more dramatic than that, in that I finally decided to take the introductory class. And I was like, okay, My goal for this class is simply to know whether or not I have something unique to offer, right? Like whether this is a good path. And I will say during the course of the path, right, the instructor came up to me and was like, you need to be doing this. I basically got all this incredible validation during the course of the weekend. And then Monday morning, got laid off from my job at Levi's. I walked in. They were doing some mass layoffs, but I have a degree in textiles and I had been rated a top performer. I was not someone who on paper should have got laid off, but the universe was just like, full stop, you're done. And so Monday morning, after I got done with my class Sunday evening, I got laid off from Levi's, and the rest was history. I was like, all right, I have no choice. I'm being shown which direction to head.
The universe knows what it's doing, as crazy as that sounds, whoa. Yowza. So then you were on the path to something different, something new, and doors were opening. Were you talking with your friend that gave you the excellent advice during this time of, hey, like you shouldn't be this, you should be yourself? Like those are, but it's the same with what the other gentleman said to you, like, hey, you're really good at this or that, and they were like bringing it out in you rather than saying like, this isn't working.
Absolutely. I was in touch with everyone. A couple of key other things happened. I'm glad, Kim, to hear that you can identify, that some other people can identify with my story. I was in contact. What ended up happening is I, got laid off. And in order to continue with the coaching program, the whole coaching program from soup to nuts was about $10,000. And I had just been laid off. So as I'm trying to figure out what's going on next, of course, my savings is going down. I'm trying to decide how I want to spend my money. And what ended up happening is I got this sort of photocopied, I wouldn't even have normally paid any attention to it. It looked like old school mimeographed, hard to read, just notice that came in the mail. And there was a federal program due to all the layoffs that were happening that was making retraining funds available to individuals. So you could stay on unemployment and get your retraining funds, because normally if you're in class, you're not eligible for unemployment. And the amount of money, all of my classes cost $10,000, and the amount of retraining funds that were available were $10,000. And there was one coaching school that had taken the time to get on the list of hundreds and hundreds, but only one coaching school was on the list of approved providers, and it was my coaching school. And so I did work towards that and ended up getting my coaching funded by that retraining program through the federal government that was available for a limited amount of time. And the woman within the coaching school that helped me with it, she did say, she's like, you are the one person who ever was able to get that to go through. I know so many people that tried to get their funding approved, and you're the one person who got that funding approved. And in the meantime, as I was doing this, I was sending out notices to friends, be like, hey, if anyone wants to try a sample session, I'm checking out this thing called coaching. And what amazed me is I was getting so many people that were coming back and wanted to do a sample session with me. And what I was able to see by staying in touch with my friends and making, I would say, I don't necessarily want to coach you because you're my friends, but I want you to be familiar with what I'm doing right now. And I got so many people that said yes to that. It helped me see that people already saw me in this role, that it wasn't going to be that big of a leap for me to step into coaching, that people were already open and receptive to having those kinds of conversations with me, which was just a great confidence boost.
Absolutely. You saw the receptivity very quickly from this.
Yes, indeed. So I was pretty, it was harrowing. It definitely took some confidence. It definitely took like a whole community rising up to support me when I was through this process and this journey. And yet some of those big key markers, like that particular layoff, the funding and that program coming through, the woman within the coaching organization who was willing to part with me to figure it out. It was really great. She, her background was Russian. She was from Russia. And when I first brought her the paperwork to fill it all out, I was extremely overwhelmed. And she looked at me and she was like, don't worry, I think we're smarter than them. Don't you? And I was just like, yes, yes. I used to joke she was like combination Russian general and fairy godmother all rolled into one. She was like, I think we're smarter than them. And I was like, yes, we are. We can figure this out. So
I love that.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. That's like a confidence, unshakable confidence, just ready to go.
Yes. So I had helpers like this showing up along the way, and they were entertaining and wonderful all at the same time.
Wow. Okay. So if you can let me know too, you mentioned being a part of a school earlier when I was talking to you. Is this in connection too?
This is completely separate. It's completely separate. So I did the coaching school, and what Kelly and I were talking about, I have been in these energy classes. There's this thing in Berkeley, and it's called Energy Class, and that's just the name of it. It's this word of mouth class. And so I have been taking energy class one full day a month for the last 6+ years. And so it's this wonderful community of people who are studying all things energy and learning about the principles of energy. And it goes into some of the foundation around the way that I show up to my coaching practice, the energetic containers I put into place in terms of the classes I teach and things like that. But it's separate, but equally transformative.
Is it similar to the Berkeley Psychic Institute?
Yes and no. So people might go to energy class and learn about energy, and then on their own say, oh, I want to learn more about, the psychic realm, and go take classes at Berkeley Psychic Institute. Or people might be like, oh, now that I've learned more about energy, I want to learn about energetic healing and go take more classes around energetic healing. So people will take a lot of the foundation of what we learn and then take it into their own direction, depending on what their own interest is. And in my case, of course, it has a little bit more to do with, spiritual side of things and the topics I cover on guided life and that side of the energetics in the in the unseen world, but and working with spirit. But that's because that's where my own interest has taken me.
So is that like spiritual philosophy a little bit?
There is a lot of spiritual philosophy in energy class, just those foundations and principles. The way I like to explain it, at its very core, is that the idea that often that we will go to different places. Like we might go to the ocean, we might go to the mountains, we might go to the forest, because all of those places provide a coherent field. And so when we go and sit or spend time in those coherent fields, that they can really regulate and attune our systems. They can bring that sense of calm or that sense of aliveness, but those different sensation or states that those aligned fields can bring. And so at the very core and foundation, we're learning in energy class how to create those aligned, coherent fields within ourselves. What are the qualities and characteristics that bring us into that coherent state to create that coherent field? Like, it's not anyone's surprise, right? Like that one of those things would be grounded, right? Like, what does it mean to be grounded and have a relationship with Earth? That's an important place for me to be in order to be in a coherent state. And I name that one because that's one of my most challenging ones, right? Like I consistently have to remind myself to ground because I like to float away given the choice and given the chance. So, and a lot of times what we end up learning, kind of taking it further, is that we come out of an aligned state when we're reactionary, like when we have, a trauma response to something. So then being able to learn about what are all those things that keep us out of being in an aligned state. And so being able to work through some of those things that, work through some of those things. It just becomes this endless exploration, and then this consistent practice of doing our best to be a coherent field and impact the world positively from that place. From there, we move on to like creating energetic containers and creating held spaces and being able to notice that difference of what happens when we're in a held space and how that feels and changes things. So and then you can go ahead and apply that across the board to so many different areas.
Absolutely. I think it's important because a lot of us don't have practice. Hello, Michael. And hello, Lynn again. And hello,
Hi,
Maria.
Michael.
Hello. I'm seeing Arnie was in here too. I want to say hi to Arnie. A lot of us don't have, outside of maybe our own self or a class we take every once in a while, we don't have these places where we can continuously go back to and develop the next part of, what's behind the curtain and just keep going, and really bring that into our life as a skill that it becomes our energy. I think that's like really special. That we can have a good place and a trusted place to do that with. So that is so needed. That's really cool. So, are you, because you talked about understanding certain energy signatures and bringing that into our body, like, are you one that's attracted to the forest or the ocean more so than one another or any other type of environment?
Oh, I think my answer is yes, right? Like, I do my system.
All of the above.
All of the above. One of the things that I've learned is that so different people engage with energy differently, right? For some people who can get overwhelmed by too much energy, it's really important for them to learn how to not run energy through their system, right? Like to be able to meet it at their energetic edge, but not necessarily have that energy running through their system. And so, and I am just the opposite. I love the sensation. I love the experience of energy running through my system. So I really enjoy allowing the energy of the ocean and being at the beach and allowing that energy to run through my system versus the energy of the forest, especially because if other people have probably figured this out, but I figured it out on my own, just the conversation that's going on between the trees up at the level of the leaves up high and just feeling the flow of energy. So I love being present to that energy that's going on between the treetops. It's really fun to notice and sit with.
I don't think people necessarily foremost think like that. I don't. Some of the tree people might have noticed that, but I love how you say like they're talking to each other.
Yeah, there's this conversation that's going on, and you can begin to notice the flow of energy and the movement of energy that feels very different up in the treetops versus down in the roots or down in the trunk. Yeah, so that's phenomenal. I also love one of the things I love is the energy of volcanoes. So like I do
Ooh.
love going to the Big Island. I love being around lava. There's a different kind of aliveness to running that energy, and again, that can be a lot for other people's systems. So I very much enjoy that. I enjoy all of it. Probably I'd say number one would be ocean, and number two would be like volcanoes and lava and that fiery energy.
Wow. Hello, Paul. Hello, Heidi.
Well, how
I
about
want
you?
to ask.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
ocean, forest. Yeah, what do you think?
Well, first I'm gonna I'll answer you definitely, but yeah, like when I think about fire, there's not a lot of experiences one can easily have unless you just like are at a bonfire and you're a little pyro. Um, but
That's why people head to Burning Man to go like stoke those fires, go out in the desert. You're exactly right.
sure, but that just is so. I think that feels so different than nature because there's so much humanity there.
Yes.
And it's so busy, rather than like calm, maybe for the nature purists. But a volcano, even when you're with a group, you're just like appreciating the volcano, right? You're like
True.
feeling and listening. And yeah, I don't think I've ever been around a volcano that I can remember. So I'm really curious how that feels. I want to know. But yeah, like I definitely feel good around fire. I don't want to be like hot burning. I don't want to be like, overheated, but I like looking at it. It relaxes me, it calms me. And then also like the forest relaxes and is calming to me. I love water. I love the ocean, but for whatever reason, I feel like I don't need it. So I don't really crave it. I just go, wow, this is beautiful. Like, sure, I could look at this all day, but I'm not like, oh my God, I have to get to the beach. I don't really have those feelings, which I know other people do. So I'm like, oh, what is that? I want to learn why people have those feelings on different levels.
Well, and I'm just getting the vision of you going to the beach and being like, like, yep, okay, this is great. Moving on onto the.
I'll sit and absorb and appreciate it, but it's not I don't get it like a traditional release from it that other people do per se.
That makes
Like,
sense. That makes
oh,
sense.
like I just go, oh, this is really great. Or people, this is another one that I've come across, like people in cars, they're like, oh, I love the rush of the wind, and they want to have, the the windows open. I just do not like that. I feel like I like dry out really easily, so I'm like my skin feels really weird. I don't like it too airy, so it's weird because I'm not attracted to we're at the ocean, but I'm not attracted to the air. I like the fire and I like the earth.
That works. That works.
That works. How about you? Are there ones where you're like, I don't need it, or like I really need
Um,
it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the one that I'm not as naturally drawn to. So when I think of fire, I admit that I think of desert, and so I think I am not as naturally inclined to like the fire of like the desert landscape. And some people, right, like absolutely love it, and I can take it in doses. I was very much the kid, right, like the Irishy kid, where I'd get overheated, and my face would turn like beet red. So I'm pretty sturdy and hardy, but I've always had to be careful about the way that I engage with extreme heat. So that's probably the one that I'm not as drawn. I have a lot of friends that as soon as they get a free several days, right, they'll drive out to Joshua Tree. They'll find a way to go be in the desert and engage with the fire of the desert landscape and the dryness of the desert landscape. And that's not as naturally me.
Yeah, I love the way that fire looks, but I guess that's not the one that really, it's the forest, I guess. It's the
Mm-hmm.
forest. Okay. So then what's the number one you go to?
I think the number one here, especially in Northern California, is the forest. There's some really great ones. It's easy to go and sort of pick my poison in terms of, whether one day it's redwood forest and going and being with the big trees. Another day it might be the bay laurel, which are very sculptural. So yeah, I'm really lucky in that I have a whole variety of different flavors of forest that I can go in, but that tends to be my go-to here.
That's awesome. And I see like all the greenery behind you. Like I live in an area that's very green and has a lot of trees too. And I'm like, oh thank God. like, good. I'm glad that's covered. I love how I just pinned this for Jennifer. She's like, did you say the beach? She's always going to the beach.
I was going to say, well, our friend Jennifer, we know Jennifer Rose is always a beach girl. And I fully admit, if I lived in a place that had more swimmable water, I'd probably be at the beach every day. There's not very much swimmable water here up in Northern California. If I was in Hawaii, I would definitely be at the beach and swimming every day.
Understandable. I mean, it's just beautiful. We have like a mixture of environments over here. Lynn, I love cars and driving fast, so she likes the wind. I love the ocean. I grew up in the desert. Doesn't resonate for me for long what? Oh, for long periods. I thought there's another word in there. Lynn. Yeah, so she likes change. Lynn likes change a lot.
Well, it doesn't surprise me that so many of the Southern California girls and women, right, like the ocean. I know that that's so much a part of living in Southern California. So that doesn't surprise me about you, Lynn, or of course Jennifer Rose, and her mermaid self. Yes, and Kim Princess. Yes.
She says, that's how I feel about the beach too. I can appreciate it, but leave it. Which is funny because I'm a Pisces like you. I like fire, but certainly not the desert. It's the feeling of being near fire. I can relate to that, definitely. It just calms me. And she said, staring into it for a long time. Shadow asks, what is your element, Kelly? For like my sign? Are you asking like for my sign? So like I'm a Leo, so that's a fire sign, but let me know if that suffices. And then I know yours too. Would you like to share yours? Or I can share. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she's a Virgo. Shannon's a Virgo, an earth element, but I find there's so much more to Shannon and there's so much more to me than my fire sign. So I feel like there's a lot of elements we can talk about, but I love the question. I love that you're curious to ask. Yes. Jennifer, summer starts Sunday. She's so excited.
I imagine she's like sitting there in the comments watching us, like in her bikini already, right? Like ready to go hit the beach. She's ready for summer and ready for the beach.
Tammy, love the beach. If I could go daily, I would. Yeah, and you gotta I think cultivate those feelings of what restores and repairs your energy. I think that's so important because we all are so different. So it's good not to just be like, oh, well, that sounds good. I guess I'll go along with that. No, what does it for your energy? Don't just jump on the bandwagon. So Maria, we are taking questions, but it's specific for the topics. So we're not doing readings. Let's see, Heidi. She's saying hello. And Lynn, I'm a Pisces with Taurus moon, Taurus rising. Ooh. So I find that interesting too, because Lynn just said, she's like, I like change, but then she has all that Taurus. It's very interesting.
Absolutely.
And usually Taurus is known for steady.
Steady. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
steady, it's and liking the finer things of life. Yes.
Yes, that's right. Well, she loves her crystals. She definitely loves her crystals. Jennifer, the summer solstice is my love's favorite day for fishing. He would definitely have been out Sunday. Oh gosh, yeah, the weather's been really nice. It really has been.
Well, I must comment on Heidi, because Heidi says her sun is in Cancer, she's Virgo moon and Leo rising, and I'm just the opposite. I'm Virgo sun, I'm Cancer rising, and I'm Leo moon. So Heidi and I have a similar combination, but in different orders.
Ooh, I love to, that's really fascinating because I have found that people with my similar order, it's like I feel a kinship to them, but they live life differently than me.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But I can talk to them very easily and feel like warm or understood, or I can trust them on a certain level. So it's interesting. Lynn, I love change, Mars and Sag. That's very quick to act. And so, Lynn, there's a lot in our charts. Like my chart is like fire dominant. Maybe that's why I like fire. I don't know. I'd have to like kind of sit at all the different energetic angles and really think about it for a second. But I do think there's a discussion to be had there. Heidi says, love that. Shannon got goosebumps with being similar. I love that too. Let's see. Oh, I love that, Kim. Kim's given a message to Jennifer, encouraging her to feel her husband. I love that. Hello, Carol. I want to go up top, so it's up to you, Shannon. There's like a lot we can cover, but I think like for a moment, because of the comments up top when we were talking about pain earlier, like from your perspective energetically, or like from a philosophical standpoint, let's see, let me go to one of the questions. Bernadette, if you're still in the house with us, let us know. Where on earth was this comment? Oh, here. So we talked about kind of like sometimes pain can be wrapped around our identity and why that it's hard to release. I don't think that's a one size fits all statement with how I guess easy it is to cope and understand. I do think it's more complex than just that simple statement, right? But Bernadette says, I'm the pain queen, LOL. I'm trying to lose the crown though. I have a spine and knee brace. I have ice on my knee watching this. I take life one breath at a time.
Oh, Bernadette, my heart goes out to you. Wow, right? Like just such admiration and respect for what it takes to be alive and to be human in a very imperfect human body. So just so much compassion and respect for you, Bernadette.
Absolutely. That's difficult. I love how you want to change the story of saying, I don't want to wear this crown anymore. And you are shifting identity, or willing to start the journey to shift the identity. Like I said, I have immense compassion. I'm not walking the shoes you are. It's important to, as we say the words out loud, go, ooh, is that a part of my identity, or is that the one that I'm kind of like shifting into? So you say, I'm losing the crown, and then you affirm too, currently I have a brace and I'm icing my knee. So it sounds like, you're still wearing the crown, even though you're like, I'm ready for something different. So, as let's say one who's lost the crown, if you're still with us, Bernadette, how would you tell us about your experience of formerly being the pain queen and now someone who's officially lost the crown? How does your knee feel? I'd be kind of curious, just to like kind of start the invitation. I love it. I don't know if she's with us though. I was kind of like seeing if she's
we'll see if she pops back in. I think that sounds like a great plan.
Okay. Anything else that comes up around that subject? We had a kind of some other people wanting to talk about life lessons and what they signed up for, and like perseverance, survival skills around pain, and teaching others. Let's see, the last thing. I'm just going to acknowledge what she said because I thought it was really important. She says, this was earlier. She said, my entire life I wanted to help others heal. Everything I do is centered around healing. my podcast logo is Healing Together. That's beautiful. So do you really feel like, Shannon, with how, like you asked me, do I identify as being a healer? Do you identify with the archetype as being a healer as well? Is that one of your main archetypes?
Which is interesting. I actually don't. So that is not, I have little things that I do in terms of, but I wouldn't even say that they're full on healing. Some of the energy clearing practices, I will definitely help people feel better in their bodies and their systems with some of those practices that I do for myself and share with others. And I've been told that I have more capacity to step into a role as a healer, but I don't identify with that in the same way. And I actually don't, physical pain has also not been one of my large themes for my life. Job loss and like other things have been large themes, but physical pain has not actually been one of the big themes for my life.
It can be very different types of pain though. So, but I mean, I want to, maybe that's not maybe your main archetype that you said that you identify with, but I definitely want to acknowledge, like, if you are coaching people and holding space, you're definitely a healer to me. So,
oh, thank you. And I think it's more along those lines of, we were talking about that correlation to finding, people who have large experiences of physical pain in their life and that relationship to identifying with the healer. And so to say that, like, to honor your journey, people's journey who have that a part of their existence, that, I definitely could be considered a healer in other realms, but in terms of, physical pain and then identifying as a healer, that's not quite my journey for this lifetime.
Sure. I think it's just interesting to hear, like, where we're pulled, in life with all the things that we can do. I love that, Bernadette, that you are transcending the pain into healing. So it sounds like you are a healer, Bernadette. We're talking about a lot of people being healers. The world needs healers. So thank you, Bernadette. So we're getting a lot of emojis and hearts and angels. I love that.
Bernadette did just pop up in the comments. She's back. Yeah. Right.
Physical pain changes people. For me, it's so bad that I don't want to be here anymore. I'm so sorry to hear that. That's a threshold. And you've acknowledged that threshold you've reached, and that is powerful that you are here, even though you've experienced that level. Thank you for having a healing podcast, and thank you for using what you've learned so far to share about your life to help others who are going through the same. So we really appreciate your comments, Bernadette. Thank you.
Yeah. My heart goes out to you, Bernadette. Yeah,
I do. My heart goes out to her too, and I just hope, like, Bernadette, whether it's the next show or any way, or any time it's relevant, dream about the crown you do want to put on. That's kind of like where I wanted to position that question earlier. You've taken off one. What's the next crown you're going to wear? And make it be something you're excited for, because you might be one with multiple crowns. We all are. But I'd be curious to know. All right. So, Shannon, as a psychic and a medium too, you are as well. Like, when did the jump off of that next, I don't know where I'm going, but I guess I'm here, begin? Because I know a little bit about the story where you started coaching clients and you would give them ideas and you were shocked that they were actually, like, working because you didn't fully take it seriously, but they went, no, like, what you're picking up is exactly right. And, like, this is amazing. And you're like, wait a second. Tell me kind of, like, about that time, and then when you actually were like, oh, okay, well, I guess I have a gift. I better look at this too.
This is definitely one where I was a lot more resistant and went kicking and screaming. I will say I was not someone who grew up with a strong sense of intuition or a strong sense of my own abilities. It came on slowly through the direct feedback I was getting from my coaching practice, including, having, part of the work that I would be doing with people in my coaching practices, have them come up with an imaginary helper to help guide them through their search for their next job. And long story short, I discovered that these helpers were not imaginary, that I was putting them in touch with, that they were showing up in my room before I went to sleep. And so it very much changed my relationship with understanding with, what was going on and what I was experiencing. But when it all really came to a head when it made a switch, has to do with our friend Karen Perry. She was the one that really encouraged me. She was the one that was reaching out. I had a lot of friends that were reaching out on the side, asking for insights or help, or what was I picking up around certain situations. And so I would have a lot of these conversations with Karen Perry, and she was the one that was like, you know what, let's dig into this. I think we need to not be keeping this secret. So she found Jennifer Rose, and so I started off working with Jennifer Rose. And the very first time I went public was the very first time that Jennifer Rose asked me to be the guest medium on her Sunday service. I think if it wasn't for Jennifer Rose and that invitation, it would all still be happening underground, right? Like this would still be. So to have gone from that starting place and having to make that public announcement, which was terrifying, to now hosting a show and doing readings and just all the opportunity that's come about. Like I couldn't be more grateful for her and for Karen and just the pushes. And it felt similar to my coaching experience where it's like the opportunity showed up. So I knew that the right answer was yes, right? Like I need to be saying yes, but I would not be lying if I did not talk about how uncomfortable it was to step into the side of my experience and make it public.
Yeah, I mean, my goodness, I think you had a tremendous push because you basically had multiple people affirming how you were helping them. It wasn't in your head at all. Like it was just like, yes, this is great. This is amazing. More of this. Thank you, Jennifer is giving you love. She says, love you.
I love you so much, Jennifer. Thank you so much for everything. Changed my life. She did.
She's amazing. She's amazing. You're amazing. I think that like kindred souls find each other, and right, like you really have to open up this space to continue to do this work. It's very much a part of you. Even though like sometimes we think like, oh, we have to like, put our mind to it and we have to manifest. Sometimes it finds us. And Jennifer was one of those people. like I got you, girl. Hey, what's up? Like,
well, it's really funny, right? Because I had for so long thought that people that did scary things didn't get afraid, right? Like didn't get afraid. One of my previous job collector jobs was back in the day. Power Bar was based in Berkeley. So I did public relations for Power Bar. And we had one of those sweepstakes giveaways, right? Like you open up the wrapper and you win. And so the people who opened up our wrapper and won got a trip to Santa Fe where they got to, do all sorts of events with Olympic athletes. Like they got to run with Michael Johnson. They got to do rock climbing with a couple of famous rock climbers. And so we had an two Olympic runners, a rock climber, an adventure racer. We had this great collection of athletes that all got to talk and tell their stories. And one of them, I think, was Maureen O'Toole, who had gone back as a much older player when women's water polo became a sport. So she was like a good 10 years older than everyone else on the team and came back to play in order to play as an Olympian and play women's water polo as an Olympian. And the thing that across all of these stories were just how afraid all of these athletes were at their critical time. And for whatever reason, it had never dawned on me. I figured that if you're performing at that level, that you didn't really get afraid. And so it's really changed my relationship with fear. So, the fact that I've had all these opportunities and said yes, make no mistake about it, I've been petrified pretty much the entire time.
That sounds about right. I mean, I don't think if you are living, I guess, a multifaceted life, or you are living, I want to say almost continuously the life of your dreams. Like, I don't think it's easy. Like, you have to make decision after decision. Like, I guess we're going to do this now. What is this about? I guess we're going to do that now. Like, you have to keep the dream alive. Like, you have to like actively till the garden, or like welcome that which you seek to come to you.
Well, and so similarly, right? Like, one of my big fears and one of the things that still makes me really uncomfortable is public speaking. So to name, opportunities, like to thank you, Kelly, and for the opportunities I've been given and supported in through Sacred Spiral Network and through you and doing this right here. This is no small thing that's occurring, because this is between the Guided Life show and getting the opportunity to appear on these, on your show and other shows. It's a huge gift. And I never would have dreamed that this is something that I would be doing, based on my historical relationship with talking to people in public. Y'all are scary.
Usually there is some type of somewhere within our life of something really scared us, and on the other side we've like become the antithesis of that.
Absolutely.
Maybe not sprinkled throughout our entire life with everything we've had to face, but there's usually one like pretty classical I'm just gonna say one again, but that I found it so interesting, because when you are talking, you are very natural, and like you're very effervescent and you're enthusiastic, and it's almost like you have this sprite energy, or there's energy here to support you that makes it kind of fun and uplifting. So when you let me know about like kind of, I guess, what's going on other levels of, you're like, hey, well, I don't know if this feels natural. Well, from the outside, it looks really, really natural.
Thank you. That means the world to me. It has not always been that way.
So it reaffirms what you said about like all those Olympic athletes. Like, oh, I don't see it. Like, yes, this is not easy to see with what you were presenting to me, but I believe
exactly.
Yes. Like I understand, like talking to you in another capacity, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. But yeah, no, it's like so flowing, actually, this thing that you have resistance. I find that really interesting when we have both states present.
Yes, indeed.
Do you, may I ask you, so like you're aware of the resistance, are you aware of the flow?
Well, I'll put it this way. I can definitely notice when I'm not in flow, right? So, that's the thing that's really hard about it for me, is that it's just uncomfortable enough that when I get out of the flow, I don't necessarily have the ability to fix it, right? Like every so often, way back when I started, what would happen is I would try and speak and I would just leave my body, right? Like I would float right out of my body, and I would be talking and I could look around and I could see everyone's sort of blank face, right? Like they weren't tracking me, they weren't with me, because they couldn't really hear me, because I had sort of, floated out of my body and just wasn't really present. Like the lights were on, but no one was home. There was nothing for them to connect to. So when I talk about one of the most challenging things for me to do is ground, and that it's when I'm grounded, I know that I have the ability to connect with people and be in the flow. There are still times I'll notice that, like, oh gosh, I've gotten out of the flow, I'm not grounded, and I can experience it, but I don't have the ability to fix it in the moment. So it's more, I can very much tell when I've lost it. And then I'm getting better, about 70% chance I can get it back, but it's still not 100% that I can get it back and get into the flow.
Do you find, like with coaching clients, that in the areas they're looking to grow in, that they don't feel like they have the alignment?
It's yes, right? Like, when I'm working with people on one-on-one, it's really great, right? Because I can see, in terms of working with them, right? Like, the steps and the progress. And that's one of the most fun things to be able to reflect back to people is the progress that they've made. And the ways in which they are continuing and making progress on their journey. So I think that's one of the things I'm pretty good at with my one-on-one clients and in the coaching is being able to really pinpoint and help them see the progress that's being made and where they're getting even more and more aligned with what they're up to and what they want to be doing.
I'd say that there's been a lot of progress. If we're talking about this, I'd say it's looking good. Kim says, Shannon, that just means you're a natural.
Oh, why thank you, Kim.
I agree.
Oh, thanks, Bernadette. I really do. I appreciate, I really appreciate the kindness that everyone has shown me as I've been on this journey. Everyone's just been really generous and really supportive, and it's meant the world to me, between Kelly and Jennifer and all of the people associated with Sacred Spiral in your community, and the listeners and the participants who are showing up and saying encouraging things. You are all very scary, and you're also very wonderful. So.
Oh no, I'm scary. That's okay. Oh, I like what Jennifer said earlier. She says, we all can do hard, scary things. Mm-hmm. She's proud. She put the muscle emoji in the mix. Shannon looks like she's always having fun, from Vivian. I do agree. It's most times it does feel and look that way.
Aloha, Vivian.
Aloha, yeah. Evelyn's in the house. Shannon, you're such a special, sweet soul. Aw, I agree.
Thank you, Evelyn. Thank you.
I want to say love to really quick people who've come in, and of course Vivian and Evelyn and Stacia came in earlier, and it's Stacia's birthday today.
Happy birthday, Stacia! Happy birthday!
Hello, happy birthday is right. I wanted to give her some birthday love. And Sylvester, hello, thank you for coming on in with your love. And also, I am Alyssa. Thank you for sharing. You are seen and you're heard. Thank you for being with us here today. My goodness, so it goes so fast, but where you are in your life currently, where do you see yourself learning, or I guess working with next in energy? Is it an extension of what you're doing, or is it something different?
Oh, no, it is definitely an extension of energy. I think I was talking earlier about that ability to be the coherent field. So I will say that is always something that I'm working on, and to be a stronger coherent field, have a stronger presence simply by being, and being that positive influence, whether it's making it easier to connect with people through my shows or my coaching. And then one of the other really fascinating practices as a part of it is we talked about people being able to find alignment and find that, that ability to be that coherent field through, going to the ocean or to the beach. It's similar to when people say go out and hug a tree, right? Like people might go out and hug a tree and use that to ground and maybe find attunement in their bodies. There's a whole sort of separate practice that people are working on about being able to work with other humans, to be able to work with other humans to provide that to other people. There's a way in which you can provide healing that we're talking about, healing and just the meeting of needs by providing extra energy and aligned coherent field to other humans. And so that's been a big practice that I've been working on, is helping other humans, helping other people find their own healing of trauma, healing of whatnot, just through the working with other humans as opposed to going to nature. So that's been a really great practice. And then always continuing to grow and develop my ability to, in the spiritual realm, trying to deepen my connection to spirit and all of the various, I'll say, cast of characters that are part of our guidance team, so that I can be an even better steward and bringer of messages and clearer channel of messages, and do an even better job of connecting people up to their guidance team.
That's beautiful. I love how you're talking about energy coherence, and living life more like in that direction, because a lot of us feel depleted. So I think that's
Yes.
really evolutionary what you're encouraging people to do.
Oh, yes. And if you ever want to try the practice, Kelly, offline, I'll show it to you, because it's a really cool way to, just get energized, and have people, being able just to tap in, to sort of sense that sense of need, and then, have another person be like, all right, I've got some extra for you. Here you go. Right. It's a really cool practice energetically to get to experience.
Oh, I'm very, yes, please.
All right.
I would love to. Yes, I'm very curious. I am open to that. Me and my shadow, I love the essence of your energy that you give when explaining your view and guidance through the skills and tools. Yes.
Thank you, Shadow. Thank you. Thank you.
Another reason why she's a natural. We're giving you high praise. we believe. We love that you're here with us, Shannon. So before we go, I always give the guest the last word, whether it's a favorite saying, an inspiration, or something that's coming through to you. What would you like to share before we leave?
Oh gosh. Yeah, let me just feel into that for the moment. I think what's really coming through right now, I think even as I just head into the weekend, and some of the programming that's going on this weekend, is that reminder, because it's been so present, this is a big lead up, so present in my world recently, is just that reminder of how much our guidance team, that our unseen team, really does want to be in touch with us and working with us. And so that reminder of how transformational it can be to develop that relationship with your own experience of energy, your own intuition, your own guidance team. And we've been talking a lot about energy, and the way that your system interprets energy is that direct pathway to the connection to your guidance team, and how much they want to be involved to help you create an extraordinary life, from wherever you are right now, whether you're experiencing pain, whether you're experiencing joy, that they want to be there with you and really help you in this school of life.
Create an extraordinary life. It's possible. There's tools. Please reach out to Shannon. She is ace in guiding people through where they're going next, and to actually finding like physically jobs along the way. I mean, like that's like abundance just waiting for you to grab. So if you are seeking, please reach out to Shannon. She also is an angel messenger, and can connect you to your guides. And you will be seeing her tomorrow on Guided Life at 4:15, as well as a little bit earlier with messages from the Enchanted Realms, with everything fairy and etherical, and they have a good time. Fran, it's her birthday. Everyone's having birthdays. Fran, it's her birthday special, as well as Shannon and Jennifer Rose being there to facilitate some shenanigans, I would say. That is a shenanigan show.
It better be some good shenanigans, and I will mention that I am also going to be giving angel readings on Monday with the East Grinstead Spiritual Community. So that's 11 a.m. Pacific, but I'll be doing angel readings with East Grinstead Spiritual Community. You can find all the information on Facebook about them.
Yes, please. Shannon will be the medium for that service, and that is a wonderful community. So that is a free community that offers mediumship and reading. So please check that out. Thank you to Sheila Martin if she happens to see this. But yes, so right after this, I'm giving a shout out to Michael Christopher too as well. He is in the house, and Jennifer Lee was here earlier. Michael. Michael, look what he's asking you. Can you help me?
Absolutely. 100%. I got you, Michael. Absolutely. I'm not sure exactly where is Michael Christopher, are you based in California? Because 100% we can get, especially if you're based in California, I think that there's like a huge underground market for mediums, and yes, within organizations.
He's in gosh, why is my brain it's North or South Dakota, and my brain is like going he's in the Dakotas. Thank you. I wanted to say North Dakota, but that felt wrong, but it was right. My intuition.
Would you consider moving to California? Because I can guarantee you there are definitely places that are open We might have to do a little on the down low, but yeah, absolutely.
Michael is awesome, and Michael, maybe there's some je ne sais quoi that you can exchange with how you can help with services. Michael and Jennifer Lee are up next for Spiritually Imperfect at 6 p.m. They're coming back for their show. They had a hiatus of, I think, like 3 months or like 2.5 months, but they're back in action. So come on by. And then Michael's calling out. So Shannon, whatever your fairy wand can do for Michael. He's also very funny, but he actually, yes. Michael's crying out for some fairy magic.
That's fine.
Yes.
You can charge extra for that, Michael. You can charge extra for being funny. That'll get you a higher salary.
That too. See, she's already finding angles. Thank you, Heidi. Nancy's in the house. She just came on in. She says, "Okay, beautiful Shannon, sign me up." See, you've already like created a course. Now you've created like a job finding course amongst intuitives. All right, everybody. Let's see. What does he say really quick? Jen needed a break. Oh, you're talking about how you're on hiatus, and he's excited. He says, awesome. So everybody, thank you for joining us on the Psychic Hour. Please go with love, luck, and light. And don't forget to live. We will see you next week, and we will see you in an hour for Spiritually Imperfect. Have a great night. Bye.
Thanks so much, Kelly. Thanks, everyone.
Absolutely.